So today we'll cover domain 2. As last couple of sessions we have seen domain 1, which was quite lengthy one. So it took 2 sessions. So today's session is a short one. Probably end of the session we'll cover more Q&A sessions. I will ask few questions if more people joins. So the today's agenda we'll cover ISC squared canons. We'll cover what is canons, what are the canons from ISC squared. Then introduction to domain 2, what is that domain, how much is the weightage, we'll cover. Then the 3 major concepts in this domain: incident response, disaster recovery, and business continuity plan. So all related to IT, cybersecurity. This may not directly related to cybersecurity, but if you have future vision to start a company or become a leader in IT, these topics definitely would help. So what is canons? As these canons not part of domain 2, this was part of domain 1, but we haven't covered last couple of sessions. There are questions may come with respect to canons. First, I will give the definition, because this is not a general word we regularly use in our life. We never use canons as a common word in our day-to-day life. So what is canon means? Mandatory principle by ISC squared. As you know, certified in cybersecurity offered by or given by ISC squared. ISC squared is the non-profit organization. They have initiated this 1 million free certification for cybersecurity professionals, right? So they are not only providing certified in cybersecurity, they also provide various leadership certifications like CCS, PCS, SP, right? So if a leader, if a cybersecurity domain or network security or IT leadership position, when you hold a certification from reputed organizations such as ISC squared, you need to follow their guideline once you certified. If you haven't followed their guideline, their principle, then your certification may be revoked, which means your certification can be banned or revoked. So you're no longer able to hold the certification if you violated the policy. Okay. Those subjects or principles called as canons. Canons is nothing. I am the org providing a certification. You need to follow my principles. Okay. So the principles are very generic and common. So you must follow those 4 principles. These principles, as a foundational certification, you may expect 1 or 2 questions from these principles, so that you can relate when you learn these canons. There are 4 core canons, just 4 principles ISC squared documented and mentioned that every certificate holder from ISC squared should follow. The first one is protect society, the common good, necessary public trust, and the infrastructure. As a cybersecurity professional or IT leader, you need to protect the society, common good, necessary public trust, and the infrastructure. These terms looks complex, or you may not able to directly relate. That's the reason I put an example. You just focus on the example last 3 lines. A cybersecurity professional identifies a flaw in a commonly used software application. Acting ethically would mean reporting that issue to the responsible party rather than exploiting. Just a simple plain English, right? So what this canon 1 says: if you are a cybersecurity professional, once you know how to identify vulnerabilities, weakness in the system, you should responsibly report that problem to the right authority so that they will fix the problem. Don't act like a ethical hacker or a hacker mindset. Act responsibly so that respective authority will fix this problem. We can put this into real-time example. You are working in an enterprise company or IT company. they are using major software, maybe called as, let's say, they bought a Salesforce CRM tool. In the Salesforce CRM tool, with your cybersecurity skill and knowledge, you identified a major vulnerability exists, maybe misconfiguration, which potentially leaks the data. Now, as a cybersecurity professional, you can report that ethically to the respective application owner so that they can address the problem instead of stealing the data or collecting the data or exploiting that vulnerability. That is Canon 1. Simple. Take the chat and put Canon 1 if you are understanding the first Canon. Then I will move on to the next three Canons. All right, so we have very limited audience today, only 5 people. So take the chat and type Canon 1 if you are understanding the first Canon so that I get acknowledgement, what I spoke, what I teach, the message reached you. All right, I got acknowledgement. Thank you guys. Next one, act honorably, honestly, justly, responsibly, and legally. Don't confuse with complex words again. Focus on the example. If a security professional mistakes leads to a data breach, they should report the incident transparently rather than attempting to conceal their error. Honestly build trust with employers, clients, and public. Simple example, you are a cybersecurity professional, you have made a mistake. Humans can make a mistake anytime. So you have made a mistake. Instead of hiding that mistake, accept that error. Yes, I did that mistake. The mistake, and because of that, the system become vulnerable. Now we can, mitigate or accept that problem and move on with the necessary steps to fix that. Instead, just hiding like you did a mistake. Instead of reporting, you just hide and that mistake exists, that vulnerability still exists. That become a problem for the company, right? So act honorably, honestly, justly, responsibly, and legally in this profession as a cybersecurity leader or IT leader. If you have ever made any mistake in your career, or if you make any mistakes in the future, don't worry about that. Go and speak transparently so that right protection we can enforce instead of hiding or concealing that error, so that that become a major problem for the company, right? That's about Canon 2. Canon 3, provide diligent and competent service to principals. This is the Canon 3. The example is a consultant promising unachievable security outcomes to win a contract would breach this canon. Similarly, failing to address known vulnerabilities in a client system due to laziness, oversight would be unethical. Simple, plain. Diligent, competent service to principals. You are a subject, principal could be your client, your customer. When you are bidding a project, let's say you are IT leader, you are bidding, let's say 1 million for providing cybersecurity controls for 1 year. Your competitor is bidding 1.2 million, but just bidding 1 million, you cannot achieve what customer is looking, but you are just playing the card and just to get the project. But really, ethically, you cannot do that with that 1 million budget for that requirement. This is wrong. That is what Canon 3 says. Provide diligent and competent service. So act, diligently, accept if the bidding you cannot do that project for that quoted amount, just to win that contract, don't tell, um, don't tell wrong information to the customer or client. Just give transparent message. Even though if you lose that contract, that is fine, but just giving over promise to the client to win that contract will break this Canon 3. Canon 4 is advance and protect the profession. If an ISC2 certified individual helps someone cheat on a certification exam, they are not only violating the Canon but also tarnishing the reputation of the certification and profession as a whole. This is talking about, Canon 4 is talking about your profession. You are a cybersecurity profession. You might have taken ISC2 CC exam or a CISSP exam. You shouldn't help your counterparts or anyone to crack the exam by giving them the questions. However, you cannot help, by the way, ISC2 built that question engine or exam engine in a way using computer adaptive test and various methods. We cannot help. However, you shouldn't leak any questions in your exam if that comes. That talks about, protect the profession. So act professionally so that you cannot violate the Canon 4. If you found any of the Canon violated by any individual that been reported to ISC2, the only problem is your professional certification from ISC2 can be revoked. So that's the primary impact. You must know all 4 canons. You may expect 1 or 2 questions from there. Now switch the gear and come to the domain 2. Domain 2, business continuity, disaster recovery, incident response. That's the domain we will cover today, which has 10% weightage on the exam, which means 10 questions probably you may expect from this exam. So total overall time for the exam is 120 minutes, 100 questions. So the time management is the key. 1.2 minutes per question you need to take. As we are going to cover three topics: business continuity plan, disaster recovery, and incident response. All talks about disaster, the bad thing happened to the business, how to safeguard the business, sustain the business, right? Among all, human life safety is in the top. I purposefully put this slide to educate all of you about human life safety, absolute top priority in disasters. It could be cyber security incident, it could be fire incident, it could be natural disaster. First preference should given to human life. If any question you encounter talks about some incident, whether you will prepare human first or you safeguard your database or system or office location, always your decision or priority should go to human life. So you may expect questions or check against this topic, because as a profession or as a cybersecurity leader or a professional, you must know during any incident or any disaster, human life safety is in the top. First we need to evacuate humans, then only we need to think about other critical assets, could be database, servers, or critical files and business assets. So domain 2 covers primarily 3 topics: business continuity, disaster recovery, and incident response. I put one single slide to cover all these 3 concepts, just to give you mind map what is each concept talks about. Business continuity talks about business function continue during disruption. This disruption could be man-made, natural, or any uncertainty, like for example, there is a flood, there is a hurricane or a cyclone or earthquake. These are natural disasters. There is a fire accident in the building, or there is a man-made terror attacks. These are the disruptions comes to the business. Business continuity talks about critical business function continue during disruption. As an umbrella, your business has some risk. You may not able to continue the service, but business continuity plan will help you to sustain your business or continue the business in a critical time. Disaster recovery, the incident happened, earthquake happened, cyclone hit hard, flood happened, business stopped functioning. Now I need to recover the business back as soon as possible so that I can serve my customers, I can retain my business in that hard time. How quick I can restore everything is fall under disaster recovery. Restore IT systems and infrastructure quickly after a disaster is called under disaster recovery, we will cover. Incident response primarily talks about cyber threat incidents. Identity, contain, eradicate and recover from cyber security incidents is called under incident response. So under these three primary domains or subtopics, business continuities are very high level, how to deal with the disaster and continue during disruption, how to continue the business. Disaster recovery after disaster, how soon I can recover the business process so that I can continue serve my customers. Incident response, there was a ransomware attack, there was a cybersecurity breach or a data breach, how I can mitigate those cybersecurity risk and come back to the business, continue the business. So in certified in cybersecurity, these topics are just high level information. We no need to go very depth, but if you preparing for CSSP or CCSP, you may go deeper. But as long as certified in cybersecurity, you just need to cover whatever topics I have included in this session. As a candidate preparing for certified in cybersecurity exam, you must know these three topics: business continuity plan, purpose, importance, and components. Incident response plan or incident response. What is the purpose for incident response? Why that is important? What are the components available in incident response? Same goes to disaster recovery. You must know the purpose, importance, and components. The purpose I already explained in that one slide. Business continuity during disaster, how we can continue the business. Disaster recovery, recover the business after the disaster. Incident response during cyber security incident, how we can recover the business. Purpose was very clear, very straightforward. The importance and components will cover it in upcoming components. Let's start with incident response. Incident response deals with cybersecurity incidents. You must know what is event, what is incident, what is exploit, what is threat actor, what is vulnerability. As a cybersecurity professional, you are dealing with these terms every day in day out in your work. So event, occurrence of an activity on an information system. So if you take any system, it could be a router, switches, computer, servers, or laptop, you might have seen n number of events get generated. For example, as a user, you are logging to your laptop or a computer, you are logging in, that is an event. You go for a break, you log out or log the screen, that is an event. So our task, our work is chain of events happening in the information system. Similarly, server side or a database side, whenever there is a change, whenever there is an entry, that create an event that get logged in the system. So without event, we cannot function, anything in the system. Incident, one or more events jeopardize the confidentiality, integrity, availability of an asset. If the incident results in unauthorized access to data or a system, it may referred as a breach, intrusion, compromise. Here is the difference. You have a laptop, you have a system, you are login with your user ID and password in a company. That is an event. If there is a hacker, he is keep trying with random user ID and password, somehow he get into the system, that is an incident, because he may create multiple event and jeopardize the confidentiality by getting to the system and know the confidential data. He can change the file and folders, integrity gone. Availability, he may delete all the files in the file storage so that no one can access, or you don't have option to access those files from the system. So you must know the difference between event and incident. Event generally happens in the system, but incident might be strategically planned. The hacker already know about your system. He might have tried different credentials and successfully get into the system. Similarly, it goes to email compromise, website compromise, um, social engineering attacks by fooling someone and take over the account, the confidentiality, integrity threats we have seen in the previous domain. These all create incidents. Next, exploit, an action or program tool that takes advantage of a system vulnerability. For an example, let's say as a application owner, you have hosted a website for a company you are working for. You are that particular application, you are the owner now. Now in that application you have SSL or TLS 1.1 enabled, which is vulnerable. Now attacker, while scanning, they identify TLS 1.1 enabled. They can exploit that web server by using poodle attack or any known attack for TLS 1.1, so that they can exploit that vulnerability to steal some data from the web page or connect to the database or backend web server to modify something through the web page. So here, attacker exploiting a weakness, vulnerability, right? So that is technically an action or a program or a tool that take advantage of that vulnerability is called exploit. Threat, an event with potential damage the organization. Cyber attack, social engineering, natural disaster, physical intrusion or threats. Now cyclone is moving towards Chennai. There is a threat for next 3 days business running in Chennai. That is natural disaster, right? Similarly, if there is a hacker successfully entered into the database and locked everything, then it's a cyber attack. There was a threat. Threat actors, an individual or group that has potential damage to the organization. Mostly the threat actors are fall under advanced persistent threats, APTs. They live in computers and organizational systems for years, and they wait for a right time and organize an attack. So threat actors may come from neighbor enemy countries, nation state attacks, from country funded attacks, like how like in army, how each country fight against each other. Similarly, hackers from respective countries fight against each other and they start nation state initiated attacks. They call it as threat actors. Vulnerability, a weakness that has potential to be exploited by a threat agent. Simple, same example. I have a website TLS 1.1 enabled. That is a vulnerability. That is a weakness that can be exploited by threat actor easily, right? So these are the components you must know for incident response. Overall aim for incident response. Primary goal of incident management and incident response is to minimize the impact of security incidents on the organization. As a cybersecurity professional, you are protecting the company's digital assets. During cybersecurity incident, what is the expectation from the management? There is an attack. What management would expect? You can completely block or mitigate or reduce the damage if already attack is successfully happened, right? So the goal is to protect human life and safety. First preference goes to always human life, safety. Minimize the downtime and business disruption. as a cybersecurity professional, you know that there is an attack happening. Try to minimize the impact by applying some techniques or tools, whatever incident response plan you prepared, use that to reduce the downtime so that business will continue to run. Maintain confidentiality, integrity, availability. There is an attack, they may hack the database. If you have backup, you can quickly restore, so availability will not be interrupted. There is a database already hacker modified, integrity is already gone. You can eliminate the compromised database, you can put the new database and restore the backup. So integrity can be restored quickly. Confidentiality, already you hacker took the data, now confidentiality no longer there, then it is a company-wide data breach happened, so it would be a tough situation to handle. So maintaining confidentiality, integrity, availability during cybersecurity incident is one of the aim for cybersecurity incident response program. Prevent reoccurrence, as you know, once there is an attack happened, that shouldn't repeat because you have missed something or the vulnerability you left open in the system that being used by attacker. Now, if that reoccurred, which means it's a clear mismanagement, because as a cybersecurity professional, we must learn from the security incident. We need to put the necessary mitigation control and countermeasures so that that same incident will not happen again. Comply with the legal regulatory requirements, because as per Indian law, within 72 hours you need to report the security breach to the government. Respective countries and continent like Europe, GDPR, US, different laws. As per that laws, companies should notify the government if there is a major security incident happened in their business. For example, take Jaguar Land Rover cybersecurity incident 2 months ago. That happened and they reported within that stipulated time to the government. Otherwise, that become a government may put more fine on the business, so they may not able to continue their business. It may go up to, I think, 250 million fine. I think in India it may go up to 250 crores with this new DPDP Act. Protect organizational reputation. During security incident, as much as possible, protect your reputation, because once a reputation is gone, customers will not trust you again. Simple example, take a major bank in India. If all their customers or end customers' data compromised, available on dark web, no one will open a new bank account in that branch, right? So they will run out of the business soon. So during security incident, as much as possible, protect your company's reputation by mitigating, applying necessary controls so that your business will sustain. So this looks very simple, but in a real time wise, it makes very big impact when there is an incident which is damaging the company's reputation. All right. So in exam standpoint, you may expect questions from what is the overall goal for cybersecurity incident response side. Among CAA triad, confidentiality, integrity, availability related questions. When you protect your organizational reputation related questions, you may expect. So next, elements of incident response program. Incident response policy, incident response plan, incident response procedure, incident response team. So these 4 pillars fall under incident response program. Incident response policy must be prepared and it must put the purpose statement for the policy. Why company preparing incident response policy? Imagine during major cybersecurity attack or incident, you cannot prepare this. This must be prepared well advanced so that you have a plan in place during cybersecurity incident. Entire team, entire company, each and every department must know how to react, what to do, so that during incident they will not create chaos or they will not know what to do next. Everything pre-built, pre-planned, tested, validated, so expecting for an attack. If there is an attack happened, you can execute the plan so that business will be protected. That's how we are protecting all across the globe major businesses. So if you take any big business, they must have an incident response program, which includes these pillars. So first they need to prepare a policy, then incident response plan, objective, strategy, mission of the plan, life of entities notification, maintaining and improving the plan, laws, regulations, and external standards. Because laws differs depends on the company's location and serving the continent, like Europe or US or India or whatever region, or local country law of the land would be applicable. Regulations depends on the sector. It could be banking sector, healthcare sector, food and beverages. So respective sector, the different incident response plan is applicable. For example, health sector, the impact is very huge because patients and doctors' informations are protected. That may create life threatening for patients. If there is a major hack on ICU or major hospitals, that create more vulnerable to human lives. So those sectors might have tightened security policies. They use very sophisticated systems to protect and they invest more on cybersecurity. Similarly, goes to banking. Banking protect their assets with high precision because other sectors may live with the risk, but these two sectors are very, you know, sensitive to the attack. Incident response procedure, step by step process, tools, technology, what tools will be used during security incidents are documented in incident response procedure. Incident response team, high level CFO, CIO, CEOs are involved in the team. Each and every department, there must be a nomination happen to incident response team, because as a cybersecurity professional, you cannot run this program completely end to end for the company. Every department, there are people involved in this program. So incident response team built from each and every department. They must know what is incident response program, where the steps available while doing drill or a test activity. Those respective members are participate in that program. So if you are working in IT, you might know, you might have nomination requirement from each department for participating in incident response. Primarily the critical departments are mostly involved. Now come to the international standard. Okay, incident response goal we have seen right in the previous slide. Overall aim is minimize the downtime, maintain the confidentiality, integrity, availability, prevent reoccurrence, comply with the legal regulatory requirement. This is generic. You can do various ways to achieve these goals. But as a standard, NIST provided SP 861 framework how to handle incident, especially cybersecurity incident. Preparation. First step is preparation. You need to prepare for the incident response program well in advance. You know what to do during an attack. Detection and analysis comes from monitoring. You have implemented SIEM tool so that all the events and security incidents are gathered, centrally stored, and alert systems trigger the email if there is an attack detected. And there is a dedicated security operations center, SOC. Security analysts will monitor all the events and information from the logs and trigger respective team if there is a malware activity in database, malware activity in router communication, or switches keep shutting down or restarted. These are monitored and respective signals given to the respective team. So detection analysis fall under SIEM team, primarily SOC team. They monitor and analyze the logs. Let's say one security analyst found an attack pattern or a ransomware fingerprint on the logs. He will initiate containment, eradication, and recovery. So he will prioritize based on the severity of the vulnerability or an attack and start the process called containment, isolating that particular system from the network, then understand if there is an impact on other systems, then eradicate that vulnerability, then recover that system from the impact so that business will continue. Post incident activity, lesson learned from the incident, how we can prevent that will not happen again. So that way, post incident activity would help to mitigate those attacks from reoccurrence. So these are the international standard, which is NIST framework for incident response. For exam standpoint, you must know these four process clearly as per NIST. If there is a specific question talks about NIST framework, you must know what is preparation, detection and analysis, containment, eradication, recovery, and post-incident activity. In post-incident activity, primarily write a report, lesson learned, and what are the action items to mitigate in future. For example, user clicked a phishing link that installed WannaCry ransomware. Now, the entry point is user received an email and clicked a link. How to mitigate in future? Educate the user. So there is a lesson learned from this incident that given to us a loop back feedback. Then they will start a program to educate all the users. This is just an example. If you take any security incident, there must be an action follow-up to stop happening from the reoccurrence. So next, general process perspective, planning and preparation, create policies, get support, build awareness, and acquire tools. So get support from management, build awareness programs, acquire tools like SIM tools or whatever tools you need to monitor the logs. You need to prepare that in the planning stage. Detection and triage investigation, define event versus incident, put the threshold, detect, validate, and prioritize. As a SOC analyst or security operations center, take care of this detection and triage investigation. But each department will provide what is event, what is incident. Event is when regular user normally log into the system, that is an event. When there is a malware that keep trying to connect to all the system in the network, that become an incident. So the difference must be clearly configured in the logging alerting mechanism in SIEM. Containment, analysis, tracking, and recovery may involve multiple teams. Security Operations Center must know from the logs perspective, right? They are just reading the logs. They may inform the respective tower department management leader. Let's say there was a database encrypted with ransomware. Now they found the logs, alerted the respective department manager. Now database team manager will initiate a business continuity plan as there was a risk, there was a disaster happened to the one of the database. Now they will apply business continuity and recover the system, recover the backup, then they put the system back to the system to continue the business. So here it may involve multiple other teams. Then forensic will identify when this happened. The chronological analysis, timestamp based analysis happens to identify the root cause. Post-incident post-mortem report, response, corrective actions are part of the final step. Incident closure, what are the lessons learned? Is there a communication to be published to the management? Or if there is a public facing incident, they may publish a public facing incident response root cause analysis report to every stakeholders. That is incident closure. So as a single cybersecurity team, you cannot involve everything single hand. So the roles and responsibilities are splitted across different teams. Planning preparation mostly involved with each and every department. Detection, triaging, investigation primarily goes to security operations center, where every department will give feedback to configure alerts, logs, and prioritization. Containment will go to mostly respective tower leadership, so that they will know how to contain specific system or application if that is compromised. Post-incident assessment primarily go to cybersecurity team because they understand the full picture. They report and apply countermeasure activities. Incident closure will go to our respective public relation department. They gather all the incident points and prepare a report to management as well as customer stakeholders. Okay, now time for quiz. Siva is monitoring his organization SIM system, watching for sign of unusual activity. Which phase of the NIST incident response process best describes his work? So before go to jump into the answer, I just go back to NIST framework. Preparation, detection, containment, post-incident. Four phases. Among these four phases, Siva sitting on which phase? Siva is monitoring his organization's SIM system, watching for sign of unusual activity. Which phase of NIST incident response process best describes his work? So take the chat and put your answer just to apply what you have learned, so that you will not forget what you have learned. So Sayed responded with detection and analysis. So here the question talks about SIEM system, primarily that monitors is a logging system. That is not preparation. Detection analysis is the right answer. Post-incident activity, we are not talking about any attack or a post-incident response activity. Containment, eradication, recovery is not related here. So the answer is detection and analysis. Now, continuation. During his monitoring work, he found high priority security incident in progress. What should be his first priority? While he was monitoring, he found high priority security incident, maybe a breach or a security incident happened that seen in the logs. What he will do? Identifying lesson learned, notifying senior management, recovering normal operation, contain the damage. So you can think of same NIST framework and identify which phase this will fit in. All right, let's go back to the same NIST framework. Preparation, detection, analysis. So the previous question was detection and analysis. Now, next phase is containment, eradication, recovery, right? So any one will fit in: containment, eradication, and recovery. So here, uh, containment, eradication, recovery related answer we need to look. Identifying lesson learned is a last step, not a right answer. Notifying senior management is maybe a thing, but that is not related to high priority security incident. Every incident we cannot notify to security management, senior management. Recovering normal operation. As Siva is a monitoring guy, he might not have control to recover into normal operation. So here is the twist. Siva is a SIM, Security Operations Center employee. He doesn't have access to database generally. He cannot normalize the operation. He can only do contain the damage by informing the respective tower and eliminate the system from the network. So the answer here is 4, containing the damage. So this is how you may get confused while answering between number 3 and number 4. Maybe number 3 could be the right answer, because number 3 not be a right answer, because Siva is a security operation guy, not DB admin or respective admin. More context not given in the question. So we need to eliminate like that and identify containing the damage is the most highly suitable answer from this NIST framework: containment, eradication, and recovery phase. All right. So incident response procedure is nothing. Step-by-step instruction, tools, technology used in the incident response program is called incident response procedure. This will be given to respective tower what to do during incident. If there is a trigger incident identified, you need to follow. Then this procedure, the entire department, each and every tower like database, middleware, or a web application team will follow this incident response procedure to contain, eradicate, and recover the business. So let's switch it should move on to the uh, business continuity plan. As I said, business continuity plan supports business to run during disaster. So during disaster, we need to continue to run the business. Take the example, the Ditwa cyclone is targeting towards South India now. From Sri Lanka to South India, it is traveling. Last couple of days, we know that cyclone is slowly moving towards South India, could be Chennai region going to be impacted. Now every customer, every enterprises must have business continuity plan up and ready. So what they would do, we cannot prepare during cyclone, right? This is just an example. It could be cyclone, earthquake, or man-made disaster like terror attacks. So business continuity plan prepared well in advance. So continuity planning initiation. Initiate, there is a project we need to run for business continuity. Define the scope, sizing, roles and responsibilities. Develop BCP policy, management approval. Given this is my business continuity plan, this is the scope, this is the policy, management approval is needed. Once that is done, business impact analysis will happen. How big is the company? What are the important departments, critical application assets, critical resources identified? They identify critical functions and supporting resources, calculate the risk, identify vulnerabilities and threats. Let's start with an simple example. There is a company, they are offering boarding pass service to airport. If that company employee not come to work, the boarding pass will not be issued to passengers. Now, this is one of the critical service in airport operation. Now, we need to prepare a business continuity plan for this company. Now, the scope is, if there is a man-made or a natural disaster happens, someone need to support that boarding pass, so that if your entire business is run out of employees or system failure, the respective business continuity plan will serve the customer and give the boarding pass to end users, so that business will continue. This is just an example. Similarly, you take any critical services, maybe hospitals, metro stations, whatever, wherever IT systems are involved by issuing ticket, managing mass population, those all are classified as critical business. Take even if you take any banks, if 2 hours bank systems are stopped running on a peak working day, imagine how much financial loss they will face. So business continuity plan prepared well in advance, considering all the threats. It could be man-made, it could be natural disaster, or it could be fire incident or anything. Whatever will impact the business, consider as threats, and that threat against we need to prepare the business continuity plan. So business impact analysis based on where the business located, geographical history, how long cyclone is happening every year, how long earthquake is happening every year, is that any other threat if the company located in war zone, there is a man-made disaster you may expect, right? So business impact analysis, they identify all this and get that report ready, then identify preventive controls, how we can prevent. I come to the same example, the company offering boarding pass service to the airport. If that company employee is not coming to the office due to cyclone or a flood or any other disaster, where they can operate that service? They may shift to another city, they may shift to another company, they may give outsource to some company which they already trained to take over quickly. So various ways they can mitigate the risk. But identifying preventive controls requires all the insights and inputs. This is the problem, this is what we can do. Let's say the particular city hit with a flood, severe rain or flood. Now They can quickly move to another city where already business capability exists. They can do the remote job and continue the service. So the end users will not be impacted, service continued. Now, develop recovery strategies and solution. Business process recovery, facility recovery if the company premises flooded with water, how to recover the building, how to move to the another building. These all are involved in the facility recovery. Equipment, if you have physical database or server located in the company that is corrupted with the flood, where your backup is stored, how soon we can restore the backup. Then user environment recovery, data recovery, again fall under the data backup from database. Then based on that, develop the plan, test the plan, then maintain the plan by continuous feedback from all the departments or simulation, real test or real DR drill. So overall, business continuity plan consists of these 7 under sub-concepts. You must know each concept's high level. You may expect questions from these topics. Next, continuity planning initiation is the first pillar. Business unit leaders, each department leaders, senior management, IT department, security department, facility department, public relation, human resource, legal department. If you take a big entity, these departments exist in the business. So each department might have a manager, senior manager, director, leaders. They must know the business continuity plan. They work together to prepare this plan, the initiative. Next, impact analysis, identify organization's critical business function, human resources, employees, how long the function can run without the resources. Some are automated, right? Let's say your website is receiving order. Without human that can run. If there is a database and site is up and running, no human interaction needed. But if the database storage is full, how long it will withstand? How scale you can auto scale the database? Those things may be time bound. Let's say 3 days my database can go without monitoring. Beyond that, someone need to scale the storage based on the input. If over input came within 1 hour, the database may throw an error. So those are the systems we need to identify during business impact analysis. Identify the vulnerabilities, threat to these functions, calculate the risk, identify recovery priorities. Next, develop recovery strategies and solutions. Each department, how we can recover soon. The key concepts we must know: what is RTO, what is RPO, what is WRT. Exam standpoint, you may expect questions from these terminologies. So I put the definition here clearly. Recovery time objective, this is the time target for restoring a business, process, services after a disruption caused by a disaster or a security event. This may be expressed in hours, days, or even weeks depending on the business function. Recovery time objective, restoring a business, process, services, disruption caused by disaster or a security event. How soon we are recovering the business is the RTO. Recovery point object RPO is the amount of data that is acceptable to be lost in the event of disaster. Okay. Just to come with a simple example. Every 1 hour you are taking backup. Okay, 8 o'clock you have taken a backup. 8:30 there was an incident. It could be earthquake. Your function disrupted. 8:30 business disrupted due to this earthquake disaster. Now 8 o'clock was the last backup, which is stored across 4 different cities in the world. So you have impacted one particular city with earthquake, 3 other cities storing the same backup with 8 o'clock timestamp. Now the event happened 8:30. So the 30 minutes data you have lost, which is not there in the backup. So here, the amount of data that is acceptable to be lost, let's say, which is 30 minutes, then you are within that RPO. Let's say your RPO is 10 minutes for a critical business function, could be a bank, or bank may take backup every second or every minute, depends on the criticality. But if the event and the loss is more than RPO, let's say your RPO is 10 minutes, but 8:30 the event happened, 30 minutes data lost, then you violated your RPO. So recovery point object is acceptable to be lost, the amount of data acceptable to be lost during or event of disaster. Work recovery time is amount of time to restore the business, test and validate so that fully operational. That is the work recovery time. Let's say disaster happened, you have initiated disaster recovery, everything restored. Now you need to test everything is working fine, all come to live, then only you can put back to the production, right? So that is called work recovery time, WRT. Next, high availability and fault tolerance. So in high availability in firewall servers, by default two firewall, two servers or multiple servers across the globe will give high availability, so that if one server downs, other server will take care. Similarly, if one firewall is attacked, the second firewall will take care. Now in storage, here you need to focus on RAID 0 and RAID 5. RAID 0 minimum 2 disk needed. If one disk is faulty, you may not able to recover full data. RAID 5 comes with minimum 3 disk needed. The data stored in each disk so that you can recover if one drive is faulty. That is called RAID 5. Okay, the striping with distributed parity, minimum 3 disk required for RAID 5. Depends on the critical of the business. Companies go with RAID 5 or different technology to keep the backup in the physical storage media. So RAID 5 minimum disk is 3 disk needed. Network components, as most of the servers comes with a 2 NIC card, multiple ports, so that if one port's down or one cable is down, or the other cable will take care. The heartbeat will help to mitigate network components. So these are high availability and fault tolerance components for firewall servers and physical devices present in the business. Now come to the quiz. Karthik would like to add fault tolerance to the storage capacity of a new server that he is building. He would like to use RAID 5, protect the server. What is the smallest number of physical disk that she can use? Okay, so here RAID 5. What is the minimum number of disk needed to implement RAID 5? That's the ask. Yeah, so the image you can see RAID 5 you need minimum 3 disks. So the answer is 3, which is minimum 3 disks. Disaster recovery. Now move on to the final concept, which is disaster recovery. Disaster recovery primarily focusing on IT systems, which could be database, power, router switches, servers, any equipments fall under disaster recovery. Subset of business continuity activities designed to restore business to normal operation quickly as possible following disruption. It could be natural disaster, technological failure, such as a major incident like last year CrowdStrike incident, or a major power outage. If entire power grid is gone, your UPS not working, your generator no longer functioning, how you can mitigate the power outage. Health emergency like pandemic COVID kind of a situation, such as hazard caused by humans or terror attacks or ransomware attacks. These all trigger disaster, right? Quickly recognize the situation and perform the task so that we can restore the business. That fall under disaster recovery. The primary difference between business continuity and disaster recovery primarily talks about IT systems and facility. Okay, Business continuity is a full umbrella that talks about entire business, so all other departments are involved. So these two topics mostly misunderstood or confuse each other. That's why I put one slide in the beginning. What is disaster recovery? What is BCP? What is incident response? So make sure don't confuse with these topics. Business continuity is a full big umbrella. Inside that we have incident response, we have disaster recovery. Disaster recovery focusing on IT system restoration, facility restoration. Incident response talks about cybersecurity incidents, but these two fall under business continuity plan. So IT facility recovery, we need to understand three types companies follow. One is hot site. If my primary office is no longer accessible due to disaster, again disaster could be man-made, natural, or major attacks, cyber security attacks. Due to that, my primary location is not accessible. How soon I can go to another site? There are three options. First one is hot site, ready within hours, expensive, alternate processing facility. You have building A, building B. Building A in location X, building B in location Y in the same city. Building A has a risk of flood. Now severe flood happened. Employee is unable to access building X. Now building Y in different area or different location in the same city that has enough space, enough systems, everything available. Within 1 hour I can activate all the systems. All employees are routed in the morning. Hey, due to severe flood, will continue operating in office Y, which is in the same city, different location. Here is the address. We instruct everyone to come to that new office and start work as usual. So as a company, they prepared for disaster and recovery plan. They keep a separate building for backup plan. Okay, now during incident, they quickly recovered. Within 1 hour, they activated, instructed, no impact to the business. But business side, this is so expensive because they are maintaining another building in another location. Systems are loaded, all the communication equipments loaded, security guards presence, all facilities are fully furnished. These maintaining another business location is really expensive. So this is called a hot site. Remember the keyword, this is called hot site. Okay. Now, let's say a company is offering a business that, okay, they can tolerate the downtime for, let's say, 3 days or 2 days. They may go with a warm site. What is warm site? That location has power, physical infrastructure, possibly mobile or telephone communication, internet connections are available, but computer, network device, software, people, and data backups must be installed. Okay. The warm site is a site where you have basic necessities like power, furniture, internet services available. But what is not there? Data not there, computer not there, people not there. You need to put a security guard. You need to put the computers. You need to put the data to be restored on that backup site so that you can start the business. So roughly this work may take 3 to 5 days to complete, and so that employees are asked to go to the warm site, right? So maintaining warm site may be less expensive because no things are dependent, but this would help companies to restore their services maybe within 3 4 days, right? Next one is cold site. Only essential building is there, basic wiring done, but no furniture, no basic internet connection, no people data available. So this might take 15 days to 1 month to set up a office. That's how IT facility recovery works. So maintaining hot site is expensive. Warm site quickly maybe spin up, but still it takes data to be restored, computer to be installed, and respective software to be deployed. Cold site is an empty building, basic wiring available. but they need to put more effort. It may take more time. Maybe less expensive among first two. Maintaining cold site could be less expensive. I just put an imaginary example here so that you can store it in your muscle memory. Hot site, everything is available. My database, server, power, backup, computer, everything is available. Just route the people to this office, to this office. Everything, as usual, normal. Within 1 hour, I can make it hot site during disaster. Warm site, I have a building, I have AC, I have power, but people not there, computer data backup, everything to be restored. It may take maybe 15 hours to 24 hours to bring the warm site to active. Cold site, you see basic wiring available, not furnished office. It may take 15 days to 30 days to build. When this will help? Hot site will help during flood or situation where primary office is shut down. Warm site will help during maybe long-term problem. Let's say the primary site is shut down due to legal problem. Employee cannot enter. They need to build a warm site to active. They put all the effort, bring new laptops, new computers, hardwares, restore the backup so that they can bring up the warm site. Cold site is nothing. They decided to bring up. It takes more time, 15 days to 1 month to recover everything, put furnishing, then they can ask employees to come. So depends on the business criticality, how much downtime they can accept. Based on that, companies will invest on this strategy. As hot site is really expensive, warm site is less expensive, but again requires a lot of work to restore the business. Cold site is less expensive, but really it takes more time to restore the business. Hope these three concepts very clear, as you may expect questions from these concepts. So disaster recovery metrics, as we have seen, RTO, RPO, and RSL is here new. So recovery time object is targeted amount of time that will take to restore a service to operation following a disruption. RTO is amount of time takes operation to disruption, right? So if you example, you can just imagine with the hot site, warm site, cold site for RTO. Hot site hardly take more than not more than 1 hour, right? Because everything is ready. You just informing user to come here instead of office, the previous office. So recovery time for hot site is less. Recovery time for warm site is bit more. Recovery time objective for cold site is really 15 to 30 days. So that's how we can define RTO. RPO, amount of data that needs to be restored or acceptable data loss, right? So how much data the company or a respective services can afford to lose, that is recovery point objective. Recovery point objective always connected with the database because that's where data stored. So if there is a question about database, have a look at the answer. Is there anything related to RPO? The recovery service level, RSL, is the percentage of the service must be available during disaster. What does that mean? During severe flood, my front-end service is running on web service on Amazon or whatever cloud, that still continue to serve the customers. Only thing is, let's say I'm running an e-commerce business. My service is up and running on AWS. During flood, my company shut down, no dispatch, no order processing happening on the back end, but still my website is up in the AWS. Customers can place the order, right? So 25-30% of the work is happening. Customer come to my website, browse the product, they can add to the cart, they pay the money to the payment gateway, and order is successfully placed. Where the problem is, my workers unable to come to office, my shop, the logistic team unable to ship the product to the customer. So here, the recovery service level RSL could be 30%. My service is not fully disrupted. Online processing is happening, but dispatch is not happening. So that related to business interruption. This depends on business to business, right? So if flood happened on a primary hospital premises, then entire hospital to be shifted, right? So 100% of the outage for this RSL for a hospital, but depends on the sector, business, the mode of operation, how they are doing, the percentage will vary. So recovery service level depends on the nature of the business. During disaster, is that up and running or completely disrupted? Same goes to internet banking. You can check your balance, you can transact online transactions. When bank branches are shut down due to physical disruption or disaster, only branch related activities are stopped. Customer cannot visit the branch for any problems or KYC update, but still they still transact, they still check the balance, still they receive salary. So that functions are not impacted. So 80% of the work happening automated way through the backend system, only the physical works are impacted. So RSL is 80%, right? So must be available during the disaster is the RSL. Next IT system is one primary topic is backup. In backup, one terminology called local backup, that is more dangerous, because when you take a backup, that backup and primary data stored in the same location, same premises, then that is called a local backup. Okay, you have a server, you take a backup, you keep that backup in the same building, same office. Now there is a fire incident, both backup and primary data gone. Now the local backup is so risky. Okay, that is the term you must understand exam standpoint. If there is a term talks about local backup, keep in this mind, that is so risky because you cannot restore in the event of disaster, right? So now come to full backup, differential backup and incremental backup in backup types. Full backup is straightforward. I have 100 GB data, I took a mirror copy, store it in different locations. Differential backup, I took first full backup. Every day backups are cumulative, keep added. Let's say day 1 10 GB, day 2 another 5 GB, day 3 another 5 GB. Now day 1 I take 10 GB of data, day 2 I take 15 GB of data, day 3 I will take 20 GB of data. So I have 100 GB plus 20 GB is the last backup. To restore in differential backup, I need to restore full backup 100 GB first, then the last cumulative backup, which is 20 GB, 120 GB data successfully restored. That is differential backup. Incremental backup, you have full backup. Every day you take incremental backup. Let's say first day 10 GB, second day 5 GB, third day another 5 GB. Then you have full backup 100 GB and 10 5 5. To restore, you need to restore first 100 GB, then 10 GB, 5 GB and last 5 GB, all backup to be restored. So that's how full backup, differential backup, incremental backup works. Depends on the business, they choose the best one, because full backup may be costly, differential backup may over the period add more storage, incremental backup restoration process would be hectic. So depends on the pros and cons, business will choose which one they like to go with. But backup high level, you need to understand what is full backup, what is differential backup, what is incremental backup. Offsite storage, the local backup is risky, as I explained. Offsite storage, if you take a backup, keep it in 4 or more than 3 different geolocations, so that in the event of earthquake, in the event of complete city destruction due to war, so that you can restore the business data to run your business. Primarily banks and high critical infrastructure follow this method. The backup must be stored in offsite or different geo. The process is known as site resiliency. If one site is completely gone, they can restore it in few hours, so that they can continue their business. That is called offsite storage, or the another term is site resiliency. Next, let's you have prepared a disaster recovery plan. Everything is available. You have warm site or a cold site or a hot site available. How to test that? How to validate? I cannot wait until disaster happens, right? You cannot wait until flood happens so that I will go divert the employees to my secondary office to test everything, right? So you need to test well in advance so that you are prepared. You know what things works, what will not work, right? So to find that, you need to do DRP testing. In DRP testing, there are multiple ways companies will do. First one is read through, walk through, simulation, parallel test, full interruption test. 5 types. Read through is just you have a plan, you send that plan to every department and ask them to read the plan. Simple. Nothing involved, not effective. Most of them won't even read until unless there is a response acknowledgement comes from each department. That is very high level. Yes, we have a disaster recovery plan. If in the event of earthquake, we need to follow this. In the event of flood, we need to follow this. In the event of cyber attack, we need to follow this. That's called the prepared plan for disaster recovery. That will be sent to every team. Ask them to read. Simple. That is a read through test. Walk-through test, invite everyone to a conference room, put a slide and explain to everyone nicely, walk through what is the DRP plan. Simulation is a different technology where they may use softwares or a stimulation to trigger that event, and within the software it will tell, yes, the primary office is not there. Now people are going to secondary office. They stimulate the environment in a virtual environment and understand pros and cons, what is working, what is not working. Again, there is no real work involved here. Everything is in a controlled, stimulated environment. Parallel test, instead of activating routing employee to disaster recovery site or a backup site, they will bring up the disaster recovery site as a parallel site. They ask half of the employee to go and work there. They will understand when people go there and really start working, they will come to know internet is working, internet is slow, or my PC is not starting, or my Wi-Fi is not connecting, my application is not accessible from that location. Those things are come to light, right? So parallel test will give real picture during the incident how that feels. So more feedback can be gathered, more feedback, well prepared, very good disaster recovery plan. Full interruption test, mostly critical infrastructure they do every 6 months. They shut the primary office, they shut the primary application. They bring the secondary one and see how soon they are activating, how soon people are start using. Those tests are really happened in full interruption test. So full interruption test mostly we have seen in bank or any critical infrastructure, but this is really disruptive because your primary website may go down, primary office may go shut down. You need to prepare activated real plan so that will be bring up within stipulated time period. So full interruption test is mostly used in critical infrastructure where the business is so critical that can be measured in full interruption test. The RPO, RTO, or WRL can be measured in real time in full interruption test. The parallel test and full interruption test is most effective among above three because read through, walk through simulations will not give real feedback, but parallel and full interruption test will give real feedback. Among this audience, if you are watching this video, if you become a critical infrastructure IT leader or a cybersecurity professional, you will really face this parallel test and full interruption test. You will understand really how that works because I have worked in bank and a few critical infrastructure where I was execution partner for full interruption test, where I shut down my primary application on internet and bring up secondary, immediately with stipulated time. I need to manage the session and user count and database activities coordinated on the backend. That's how in real time tests are performed. Mostly if you take internet banking or critical applications over internet, they do this activity every 6 months to understand if primary data center or primary web server is down, how soon we can activate, our DRP plan is valid or need more improvement. So for that DRP testing really helpful. Now come to the question. I believe hot site, warm site, the cold site I explained very clearly. So this answer is so clear. Which type of recovery site has some or most system in place but doesn't have the data, need to take over the operations. So hot site, warm site, cold site, cloud site and cold site, which one could be the answer? The key term here is data not there in the backup site. All right, perfect. So as I have as I have explained, hot site is replica. Everything is available. Warm site where we need to install computers and data, right? So warm site is the correct answer. Cold site is just a building which doesn't have any furnished things. So cold site we can eliminate. Warm site is the answer. Next thing, Deepak recently conducted an assessment and determined that his organization can be without its main transaction database for maximum 2 hours before unacceptable damage occurs to the business. Therefore, the goal of this organization is to restore services within 2 hours. Which metric Deepak is identified? So there was a clue while explaining. I have given if there is a database, which metric directly linked. You can apply that logic. All right. So wherever you see database, RPO is linked because recovery point object come to the acceptable data loss. RTO RSL talks different metric. MTTR is different. All right. So with that, we have reached end of this session 30 minutes before. I open this floor for questions. If you have any questions, if you have any challenge with registering ISC squared portal or preparation, feel free to unmute and ask your doubts as we have more time today to take your questions. All right. So among this, so audience available in this call, have you all enrolled ISC squared certification and started e-learning? You just say yes or no. If you say no, we'll discuss what challenges you are facing. If you need any help, I'm happy to support. All right, Syed and Vigneshwara already acknowledged. Good that you have started, as that is important. Parallelly you can complete, parallelly you complete the whatever training I'm offering 6 weekends. Once you complete both, you can start preparing for exam full-fledged. So within 3-4 weeks you can get the certification done. All right, Suma is asking a question, how to prepare for CC. So the preparation already you have started. As you join this call, you are preparing for the exam. So today, if you go back to the session, I have explained the cold site, warm site, um, right, hot site. These are the exam preparation. Next, business continuity plan, disaster recovery. We go with the deep examples and concepts, right? That is exam preparation. So far we have completed 2 domains. We have prepared almost 30% of the syllabus. So you are on the track, you are preparing. Maybe I can rephrase your question. After joining this session, after completing ISC squared online modules, how to get the confidence I can go and pass the exam? Where you need to put more time on multiple choice questions. Prepare yourself for that 1.2 minutes time activity, like you read and eliminate the wrong answers, right? So that may take 2 to 3 weeks. You take more practice questions, as more questions available. YouTube, there are people put 2 hour practice questions, videos. There are multiple policy engines available, like online quizzes available. You can participate. I will share that free resources over WhatsApp group. So you can prepare and test yourself. Am I eligible to sit with the exam? Am I ready? That self doubt, you can get the answer if you take any practice question. Let's say you are taking 100 question, out of 100 you have cracked 80 percentage correct, then you are on the track, because your all the concepts are clear. You are able to identify the right answer, eliminate the wrong one. You are prepared, you are ready to take the exam. So if you score less than 50, I would recommend to go through the videos, take the notes, and identify which domain you are weak, because not all 5 domains we work regularly. As a network admin, you may work more on router switches. As a SOC operation analyst, you may take only security incidents. As a business leader, you may take BCP or high level, think like a manager topics, right? So not everyone touch every domain. For exam only we are preparing, right? So these concepts may not be day to day work. So take more questions as much as possible. You are sorted. But before that, you need to complete ISC squared all E modules. You need to take all my 6 weekends program, so that we covered syllabus first. Then you are training your brain on 1.2 minutes time bound, taking more questions. Once you are comfortable, book the exam, sit and crack. Simple. This is the strategy, proven strategy, worked for many candidates. So take this as a serious. As IAC Squared is offering free of cost, I am supporting the community. You can make it. Then your future goal going to be CISSP or any other certification or career switch. That depends on how you are progressing. Also, Chennai, Bangalore, ISC Squared, Bangalore chapter, Chennai chapter is growing and booming. I will share steps how you can participate in those chapter. You can meet like-minded people, like security leaders in the city, and you can grow further, make networking. That way, ISC Squared would help the local chapters, would help to grow in your career, as well as overall full picture. You will get more network, human connect from those chapters. Hope that answers your question. So next thing I like to talk about, I will share mind map for both domains. As we have completed 2 domains, I will share mind map. For example, the today one is very simple, right? Business continuity, disaster recovery, incident response. Only 3 major topics. Under we have seen components, each and every topics, key terminologies we have seen. These topics are put in a mind map, so that you will not miss any concept. You will, while preparation or review, you can go to the each individual concept and you can learn. There is one guy who made that mind map in some online site which I got. I will share it across the team so everyone can understand. In case you have responded wrong answer during this quiz, whatever I asked during the presentation, don't worry about that, because many of you first time learning the fundamentals of cybersecurity, go and refresh the respective concept. You will get there. First time read, you will confuse. Second time you watch the same concept or read, you will get some clarity. Third time the understanding will be different and next level. So trust me, reading again and again is the typical mantra I follow to get concept cleared, because every time you reread the technical concept, your subconscious memory will store it and put a different logic together, and you will end up with the understanding clearly. So don't worry about wrong answers, or if anything is incorrect, you don't feel bad. You go and take that concept seriously and prepare. We can make it. This is very fundamental first level exam, so nothing difficult. everything is in a plain English, you can make it easily. All right, so with that note, I conclude this session. The recordings will be available probably tomorrow before EOD. If you have any questions, you can reach out over the same mail ID. I can pick it up as early as possible. So with that, I'm wishing you happy, good weekend. So we can conclude. Thank you everyone joining today.